Or going. Yeah, okay. All right. Well, welcome to U Media Miami's podcast number 13. So, today we are doing something a bit lighter, a bit different, and that's going to be talking about Marvel versus DC. And don't let the shirt dissuade you as to who I really like, because this is about more than just comics. We're going to be talking about movies and TVs and animated series and all that fun stuff. But before we get started, just to let everyone know, the library is going through some rough patches. Hopefully, we'll be getting up and going very soon. So, in the meantime, you can check out materials from the library, and you can check out any of these books as well. If you're having your library card, you go through Hoopla, and you can get digital comics as well. You can do that online. So, this is a great source to have even more stuff to read. So, not just physical books, but also on your iPad and such. Couple of things I want to promote right off the bat. November 4th, we're going to have a mini Comic Con at our main library, and that's going to be 101 West Flagler starting on November 4th from 10:30 to 4:30. And we'll have cosplay, we'll have crafts, panels, and gaming tournaments, which we recently had just now. And I wanted to also put out is that if anyone loves to read comics and have suggestions as to what we should be having, please let us know, because we have a new fiscal year coming up, and I would love to keep building our collection. And let's start off with introductions, and then we'll go from there. So my name is Montgomery. I'm the librarian here. So to my right is
Chris Miller. So,
Yo, I'm Lowell.
Name's Nathan.
Sophia.
Patricia.
Patricia. All right. So let me embarrass myself as to I'm a geek
Gang.
and I love comics all my life. So imagine, Will, you with me with hair
Ooh,
with a comic book.
imagination working hard right now.
That would just be me.
So I'm showing this to the audience, and you guys don't know, but that's what I looked like as a kid. Aww. So that's me.
Wow, but that's a Star Wars
Look at
comic.
that. Look at that nerd. So this is how I collect things. This is the actual comic book that I've had in that picture.
Pristine condition.
Pristine, practically. So that's almost 40 plus years since I've read this comic.
Dang.
So again, comics is a thing that's part of me, and hopefully will lead other kids into maybe a career into doing comic books, to write, maybe to illustrate. And I always wanted to do things like that. Since like 2008, I've done a comic book program with Arnold, who I used to work at iMall. So I'm always looking at ways to integrate comics into our library programs. So this is one of the great things that I love to do, is talk about comic books and DC versus Marvel. So I want to go around the room, get as to your introduction to comics, who's your favorite comics, heroes, whatever it is, and we'll go around the room. So we'll start off with you, Chris.
favorite superhero. I like Batman because of where he comes from. I do like him, but it's still Marvel. Just saying, I don't know, but I do like Batman. Growing up though, I will say Spider-Man has been probably one of the favorites because of my childhood with Spider-Man. My dad had brought me a big Spider-Man book, though included other Marvel characters, but it was a book about twice this size. It was like that. Yeah, it was very huge, and it was all about Spider-Man. It shows the future Spider-Man. There's weird Spider-Mans. Spider-Man with 8 legs. The Spider-Man. I don't know. So Spider-Man is the one I connect with the most because of my childhood. So, and the games. Come on, Spider-Man games. Come on, you feel me? They were just the best. It was dope.
All right. Oh, wow.
First, let me say DC all day. If it ain't DC, then you're doing something wrong with your life. But I got introduced to comic books because like I was also like that nerdy kid. I don't feel like it was like excuse me, like American comic books. Like manga was like probably my first introduction to like comic books overall. So yeah, and I think just the reason why I like DC is because Static Shock, he had a show. Yo, man, like that was so amazing. Like there's a guy who looked like me, and like yo, like think about it. Like as a kid, right? And like all the superheroes are just like Batman and Superman. Like oh yeah, that's cool. But then you have like Static Shock, like an African American superhero. Like it was just awesome. So yeah, that's why I gotta rock with DC all day. Cool, you guys have Black Panther. I don't care about that guy. Like, who is he?
A prince.
Spoiled.
Well, my introduction, first of all, is Red Hood, the greatest.
Greatest.
Neither a supervillain nor a superhero.
Anti-hero gang.
Thank you. Second, I started reading comic books after I finished reading a ton of history books one day because I was at the library and my mom was working. And throughout that entire time, I probably read every single Batman comic there was in the entire adult fiction type of section in the library. And after that, I started checking out every single one that I could find, including Marvel. I don't know why I did that.
It's okay. Mistakes were made.
Indeed. I wish I could forget. But yeah, DC all day.
My favorite superhero is Spider-Man because my brother introduced me. That was like one of the first superheroes that I learned about. My brother used to have like this big like collection of comic books, and I used to read a couple. I don't have that much experience with it, but it was just like a fond memory of like reading about Spider-Man with my brother. So
I was first introduced to DC by my mom. She was a big fan of Superman and also Batman.
Like she should be.
No. But I discovered Spider-Man, being from New York, he represents, so I can remember as, I think as early as 10, I would run from school just to make sure I got back in time to watch the best superhero, Spider-Man, which represent Marvel.
You know
comics.
what? No, here's the thing. Like, I won't even debate. Like, Spider-Man is probably like everyone's favorite superhero. Like,
He's just too cool.
yeah, like Superman. Like, he's basically like, oh yeah, Superman. But like Spider-Man, like think about it.
Well,
Like,
he's more relatable.
yeah, it's just
He's a
like,
kid.
yeah. So like, I can't even hate on that. Like, he's probably like low key my favorite superhero. But then again, like, no, like I can't do that.
We
no.
don't need to continue mentioning that.
All right, so let's start off with the first thing, the big thing, movies. Okay? So here is my dropping the mic moment.
Okay, you know what?
Because of this one movie, you will not have any other superhero movies. So, thanks to Superman, a DC movie, that is the benchmark of a superhero movie. With Christopher Reeve, we want to make sure that that's legit. So, hands down, bow down to Superman. So, that's my argument with DC being the top as far as you started all right there.
Thank you.
But,
Oh gosh.
but, the Marvel side, the MCU, of course, it's done great things, and we cannot dispute how well it's progressed and still progressing. I'm just saying, DC really is what started it all. So I'm going to leave it there because I will get too riled up otherwise. So Chris, what's your point?
Thank you for that fact. So DC started, and I believe DC also started as well as comics. Then Marvel joined in a little bit later. However, just like the fun fact that Stan Lee, who pushed Marvel to kind of like intertwine the stories of these superheroes, and he did a well job for Marvel, and DC caught on later. In the same way, that kind of resonated in the movies. because in the movies, Marvel was the first to like, correct me if I'm wrong, to kind of present this universe where these superheroes are
The Marvel
together.
universe.
Yeah, the Marvel universe. So that was really dope, and that makes not only the writings in the comic books interesting, but also the movies. So yeah, I don't know. I feel more interested and more geeked up to talk about what's going on in the Marvel side than DC. Is like, oh yeah, that movie. I just feel more interested in the Marvel side.
Okay. Well,
Marvel's a cheater because they have Disney. Okay, so like,
Sell out.
yeah, bro,
Sell out,
like,
sell out.
yeah, man, like you have Disney. But here's what I'm finna get at you, Marvel. Y'all don't got all the rights to all y'all movies. Bring back Fantastic Four. Bring back
X-Men.
X-Men. Get those and we might
don't
talk.
really-
They don't even. Do they even have the rights to Venom? Do they?
no, they don't.
They don't.
No.
Really?
Venom was
Venom.
one of the greatest
Venom.
supervillains.
Venom. Like the thing that makes Spider-Man like greater. Like Spider-Man is cool by himself, but let's be honest, when like Venom's like his like top-notch like villain. Like come on. Like how I'm saying, if these Spider-Man movies that are coming out with I don't even know the kid's name. Like
Just
Tom
been telling
Holland.
you.
Tom Holland. It's the Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland had like the symbiotes in it. Like think about you have Venom, Carnage, all them. Those movies would be amazing.
It would be super.
They would
Super
be
amazing, but they don't have the rights. I get, yo, bro, that's so weird. So they don't have the rights, so it sucks. Like
Wait. So could I really quick? Could I ask who has the rights to that?
Sony.
Sony, bro.
Oh, Sony. Sony, you watching this? Oh.
Isn't it split between like Sony and like Fox and like
And Fox too, yeah.
Yeah,
Fox
bro,
owns,
like-
I think X-Men, Sony, and Spider-Man.
So it's so like all you need to do is like, yo, get the rights. And, I had no words for you, DC. Yo, DC be folding too, cause these movies ain't been that good.
Yeah.
Suicide Squad
But Wonder Woman was amazing.
was amazing, but come on, can we really just say, yo, one movie makes up for everything?
It's a good start.
It is a good start.
And we have Justice League coming up. So
If they don't fold,
I'm sure they'll be fine.
I hope they.
that's what they said about
throw in
Suicide Squad.
Cyborg.
And then
Well,
Batman versus Superman.
in Batman versus Superman, yo,
No,
I
you
still
can't
like-
even call that
I
movie
still-
Batman versus
it's
Superman.
still good.
That
Mhm.
was pretty strict. But yeah, so
I think like my favorite movie out of, like all the like DC's universe is like the Man of Steel movie, like because it just starts it off and it's like yo, like we get like a really good Superman like movie. Like it didn't do too much and then didn't do too little. It just did like the right amount, in my opinion. So yeah.
Okay. Nathaniel.
I would just like to point out how perfectly DC has plotted out all of these different characters that still have the same personality, such as Joker. If you don't know, there are 3 different types of Jokers.
He's so right.
There is the gangster Joker, who controls the streets. There is the criminal mastermind Joker, who simply wants to just steal everything in the world. And then there's also the maniac Joker, who only exists because Batman exists. So you not only have villain personality, but you also have the superhero personality, such as Batman, the billionaire playboy that is Bruce Wayne living in a giant mansion by himself with somewhat old guy for a friend.
Hey, we're not just gonna call Alfred
I mean,
some old guy. Like
Alfred's
Alfred-
amazing.
exactly. Like
He could be like another Robin. Hopefully, he doesn't die.
Oh, Robin.
oh
Oh.
Dear God, Robin. But yeah, it's just you can't mess with the plot and all the different types of twists that DC has. I mean, in my opinion, with my overanalyzation of every single movie that I've ever seen, Marvel always has the same exact plot
Okay.
for every single movie. You could take Iron Man 3 and look at the new Spider-Man movie with the same exact plot, and you're probably watching the same movie throughout
just
the
different
2
characters.
hours.
Okay. All right. So let's go
What do you want my opinion on?
on movies. MCU. versus the DCEU?
I haven't seen too many DC movies, but from what I've heard, like lately, their movies haven't been too good. Like they've been really bad. Like my brother told me about Batman vs Superman. He didn't like it at all, and Suicide Squad. But from the Marvel movies that I've seen, I really like Spider-Man, the new one, Homecoming.
Okay.
That one's really good. And well, I forgot what other DC movie I was going to talk about. Move on.
Okay. All right. Patricia.
In my opinion, I think DC dropped the ball. Now they're trying to catch up with Marvel because even though you say they have similar plots, but they rolling in the dough, and let me tell you.
It's Disney though.
Hey, DC, they just dropped the ball.
Indeed.
Yeah, so now they're trying to play catch up. But I must say, DC did an amazing job with Wonder Woman. Awesome. I collect all of both DC and Marvel DVDs, but DC has a long way to catch up with Marvel.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
So can we agree that Marvel has an edge, at least movie-wise?
Yeah, I give it to
definitely.
them.
Yes,
All right. So we got that to Marvel. So let's move on to the TV series side.
Animated.
Wait, we're talking.
Not animated yet.
We're talking animated. We're talking live
Regular
action.
Live action TV series, and then we'll do animated.
Okay.
That's even better.
Yeah. So we have. I'll start with DC first.
Okay, let's get it.
We have Supergirl. We have Arrow. We have Legends of Tomorrow. We have The Flash.
Amazing.
We also have potentially coming Black Lightning.
I want that.
So
I need that.
right now we have a lot of good shows for the CW and DC side. Marvel, we do have Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, The Defenders, and then Daredevil, thank you, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and the Inhumans.
Aren't they coming out with another one? They're coming out with another one. I think they are. It's something that had to do with like X, like with the mutants. I don't know. Yeah, they are. Yeah.
There's Legion, and then there's also The Gifted.
That one. There we
Yeah,
go.
so we have that side. So, looking at that side of the TV universe, compared to what
Oh, and
Marvel's
DC
doing,
and DC has Gotham.
and Gotham, thank you for that. Yes, especially Gotham. I want to say DC wins more on that point because that universe, like Marvel does with their movies, are a little bit more connected, and they do appear, except for Gotham, which is a different network altogether. But it's a great storyline, great characters all around. Marvel was fantastic on Netflix up till Iron Fist. And Defenders was okay up till like halfway through, in my opinion. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I watched it, and the first season, the second half is amazing if you watch Captain America Winter Soldier. Because the fall of Hydra, the storyline plays out that last half, amazing. Second season, okay. But after a while, it's just boredom with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I saw the Inhumans when I was in Dragon Con not too long ago. It's god awful, but it was okay. And nothing spectacular. Nothing that I said, well, oh, now that's a game changer. No, I just think DC is the winner on TV side.
Thank you.
So,
My opinion probably won't hold much because I don't pay attention to the live action, the series, the shows. However, I was introduced to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I was totally against it. I was like, I'd rather watch Walking Dead. But so I decided to watch a few episodes, and it was pretty interesting. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I haven't watched The Flash. I haven't watched none of the shows, so I don't have much of an
You
opinion.
should watch The Flash. It's actually pretty good.
So
I don't even like watching
yeah,
TV.
I've been watching a lot of the DC stuff. This is not even me being biased. Like I watched on Luke Cage. Luke Cage was amazing. Like I think that they did like a perfect job on Luke Cage and how everything went with it. Sometimes it did feel like mad slow. Like it just felt like they were doing the same thing for like 3 episodes in a row, and I'm just like, get on with it. Like
do something.
Like it should not be this long. Like Luke Cage got shot with that bullet like 2 episodes ago. Why does he still have this bullet in him? Like how long does it take? But yeah, I think DC, they do an amazing job. As far as drama goes, the only thing I do like, I can complain about like their shows between like Arrow and like the Flash is that everything gets a little repetitive. It's like, all right, for example, the main theme in Arrow is the main theme between the Arrow and Flash is that I'm lying to you because I want to protect you. Why did you lie to me? Because I wanted to protect you. No, you shouldn't have lied to me. Okay, and then they get mad at each other. That's the only problem with it. But I think like drama wise and everything else, they do an amazing job, especially Arrow, because like how you just like, and like the amazing thing about Arrow, all right, is that the way that they're able to do like present like timeline, but also able to like do flashbacks. So it's just like you're getting two different stories at the same time, and you're just kind of how it all intertwines into like each other. It's so amazing. So DC, all day.
Okay. That was beautiful. I personally want to look back at the old show of Batman, the live-action show that most adults probably grew up on.
The one with Adam West?
I do believe so.
Okay.
And the fattest penguin I've ever seen.
Well, yeah, legit.
Yes. That show, my mother talked me into watching. I don't know how, but it was about 2006 when I started watching that show. It actually brought childhood to me. Don't know why. And from that, I didn't really want to watch any other DC shows because I felt like it would ruin my youth. But there was a certain twist on it when I started watching Arrow, and then after that was The Flash, because The Flash was my third favorite superhero, and the way they portrayed his character as also being kind of like a Clark Kent type of character, mainly.
Right.
It was amazing. So, old and new, beautiful.
So, I never really got into the live action shows. I did watch Daredevil, which I really highly enjoyed. And I did start watching The Defenders, but I didn't really get too interested in it. So I just quit. And that's my opinion on the live action shows.
Okay. That's Marvel. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
DC, hands up. I fell asleep on The Defenders. It was just so boring. I didn't get past the first episode, but I must say DC did an excellent job with Arrow, The Flash. My favorite is Legends.
Legends of Tomorrow.
Oh, my favorites, hands up. Awesome, great job.
All right, so I guess we can say DC wins for the TV side. Unanimously. All right.
It's lit like a candlestick.
Oh my!
All right, so let's look at the animated side, and this could be from whatever recollection you have. But again, being much older than most of you here put together, I've seen a lot of animated series, and I'm sorry, Justice League stuff, Justice League Unlimited on Cartoon Network blew me away, having an amazing storyline, and even though there was the Avengers and tons of remakes of Spider-Man cartoons, which has gotten over and over, I'm like,
Too many.
way too much. I have to say DC has just won my heart in that aspect. So
I would agree. I grew up watching the Justice League. That's how I think I was introduced to DC, was the cartoons. So Flash was one of my favorites too from DC. But yeah, I grew up watching the Justice League. So the only cartoons that I do remember from Marvel side is the Spider-Man. That's the only cartoon that comes to mind. So yeah, I can't think of any other cartoons. Sometimes Iron Man would. Oh, so that was Marvel, but it's just So DC, hands down.
Justice League, Batman Beyond, Young Justice.
yes,
The second season of Young Justice, they were supposed to be coming out with a third one. Teen Titan, not go. Like, where you want me to go with this? Like, they all have amazing shows. I can't like in the last few years I can't even see like a Marvel show that's like been good. Like they had a new Spider-Man with like Drake Bell voicing Spider-Man. I'm not even gonna lie, he sounded good as Spider-Man, but like the show didn't stick.
Right, it's another Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's like okay, now there's like how much more of this do you want me to take? Like that's the thing that I think like waters down Spider-Man is that like we keep on going over and over and over Spider-Man. Like okay, we get it. Uncle Ben died. You're like
For the 17th
for the
time.
17th time, this happened. Okay, but it's just like Marvel doesn't have like that show that just really like sticks to me. Like it, but like when you look at DC, like the Teen Titans show was like so amazing. Like the original one. I'm not talking Go to all you young kids. Go is trash. Stop. Get out of here. Cartoon Network. You need to do something about that. Like, yeah, the original Teen Titans show is just so amazing. The way that like they're able to mix like they had like a dark storyline to it, but they were also able to like bring like a little comedy into it. And like as a young kid, you're just like, yo, this is the most amazing thing that I've ever seen. So I think like DC all the way.
I can't even say anything after that. That would just be redundancy. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, yet again, I didn't watch any of the cartoons or anything. Well, I saw some of Spider-Man. There's a lot of Spider-Man. There's too much Spider-Man now. That's a bad thing.
That's it. Okay.
It's too much.
That's Marvel.
Bit trash, yeah?
It doesn't matter. I love Spider-Man.
She's like, I watched all 15 series.
There you go.
Each season.
He-Man. Who makes He-Man? Because I remember He-Man and the Master of the Universe.
Well, that's Filmation. But it's not DC or Marvel.
Oh, okay.
No, it's separate.
If you're talking He-Man, Thundercats.
Let's not get distracted with Thundercats. I would.
Okay. Well, DC hands up. I give it to them.
All right, so DC. All right, DC
As always.
wins for animated
Yeah.
series.
They're looking good right now. I'm not even lying.
Let's talk about comics. What information? What do you remember? Your favorite storylines? Let's start off with this. I am a huge collector. You see a lot of my large comic books. They're on the table.
They're amazing.
More DC and Marvel doesn't make a difference that I grew up with. But, and I have to say this, but one of my favorite storylines right there is the X-Men with the death of Jean Grey, written by Chris Claremont, was one of my heartbreaking moments that I've ever read a comic, and beyond anything else that I've ever read. So to me, unfortunately, I have to give this to the Marvel side, not to DC. Even though there's Doomsday and Dark Knight, what's the Nightfall series where Batman is broken by Bane. Those are
So
great
brutal.
stories, but it's nothing like the X-Men story with the death of Jean Grey. So unfortunately, I had to give it to the Marvel side on that. So
Man, that's exactly. X-Men, that series. Like, I don't even remember much, but I just remember the visuals of X-Men. It was pretty cool, especially Wolverine with the claws. I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. But then again, that Spider-Man book, that my dad gave me was very big, and I'll go through it. It was Marvel all day. So I don't know. And then when the fun fact that I heard about Stan Lee and what he did for the Marvel universe, I think the writings of Marvel is better than DC. I don't know. There's not too many DC comics that stands out. Like, oh, you remember? Maybe some Superman, Batman.
I got
but
one for you.
when you think about comics, I don't know. First picture that comes in your head, what is it? For me, it's like X-Men, Spider-Man, Superman does come up, but you have Spider-Man, even Fantastic Four, so yeah, that's what's in my mind.
Batman: The Killing Joke.
Mm-hmm.
Your turn.
Okay. So, can't really think of anything else other than the Killing Joke.
The
It's
Killing
just-
Joke, bro, is like the most amazing like story ever.
That's like
come on.
reading a novel, not a graphic novel, just a novel.
It's so beautifully painted.
But on top of that, you have the Joker cutting off his face for a simple joke. He's a thug.
I think any Batman story, just like anything that involves Joker, because like think about like Joker is just like this well painted character, and he's just like he does the most. So anything that the Joker like does, like imagine like anything that the Joker does, it's gonna stick with you. Like it's just there because he just goes like way out and beyond. Of course, people can say, "Oh yeah, Deadpool." No, Deadpool is just like sitting there trying to be funny. Okay, we get it. You can break the fourth wall. That's cool. But like the Joker, just honestly like kind of paints this image in your head, and it's such. Go.
DC character development. 10 out of 10. Must recommend. My personal favorite comic was the original detective comic, as in the first issue of Batman. That was the greatest thing, not to read, but to hear about, because my grandfather told it to me word for word. Don't know how. But after I heard that, I immediately read every single DC comic I possibly could, from as early to as late as I possibly could. And the only ones that really stuck out to me were The Killing Joke, of course. And also, there was one Green Lantern comic that I read. I don't quite remember the name or issue number, but that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Okay. Any comics?
I read more of them when I was younger. I don't really remember, but I do remember that my favorite was Superman.
Okay.
I don't know why, though.
Chuck it up for DC.
Yeah.
All right, Patricia.
I never read
No?
many of the comics. Growing up, it was the Peanuts. so,
I'll take that.
So no.
Okay.
Could I say one more? So I will say this: I personally believe Marvel has more characters. Marvel, there's more to marvel at. But also, what's really
Get
cool,
up and leave the table.
I'm so serious. Like, look at the great storylines that you get from Marvel. But DC has some great,
The great storylines of the
characters
characters that were stolen from DC. I'm just saying.
So, but also, Aquaman is pretty cool. One thing I would say though about Deadpool, doing my research, is how
That he's Deathstroke.
in a way maybe, but no.
No, and I.
Deadpool, like he kind of interacts with like the writers. Like he's supposed to, like you said, break the fourth wall. He's supposed to like come out of the comics and haunt everybody else, and he kills everybody in the Marvel. Like he ends the Marvel universe.
All right.
That's
So does Spider-Man.
like, come on.
Oversaturation.
Like
Wait.
Deadpool is so cool. So,
But
I
let's talk
feel
about
like
this.
Marvel has like that edge of something so drastic that happens. Like
All right.
all the
Let's talk about the fact.
characters they die in.
Let's talk about the fact that the Joker understands that he is a comic book character, and that's why he does the things that he does, because he knows that at the end of the day, well, it doesn't matter. He's a comic book character.
That's Deadpool.
No, that's the Joker.
That's
'Cause he's amazing.
All right. Well, let's put this to rest. And right now, all of us, Marvel has the edge on the comics for this. So we're now tied at 2 apiece. So unfortunately, it is all tied up. Now we have 2 categories left. We're going to talk about villains and then heroes. So
Wheelman.
of all the DC, of all the Marvel villains that you could think of, to me, and we already talked about this, is Joker. It is without a doubt the most famous of all villains.
Ever.
And you
all
can never
comic
really
books.
get bored with that character. Whereas
Exactly.
some villains, you're just like,
Oh yeah. we've
really,
seen-
that's all you can do? And then you're not much of a threat. But Joker is always a threat. So I think that is, to me, top-notch, hands down, the best villain ever.
I would agree. I can't.
You better
But
agree.
except Venom, because if they would have gave the rights to Venom, so Venom would have been that character. He would have been that. Man, Sony once again.
But I mean, like, but
give us the rights. Because come on, Venom, like, and then Carnage. I love that Lil brought up Carnage because, dude, I'm telling you, playing that Spider-Man game, running from Spider-Man and Carnage as Spider-Man, it was like the greatest thing ever. But I'm waiting for Venom to be revealed because he will be 20 years down. Do you remember Joker? Venom? Yeah.
Wait, what?
Venom.
Whoa,
You mean the guy
whoa,
who
no,
cut
no,
off his own
no,
face for a
no. Everyone will remember the Joker forever.
Joker is forever.
Let me say it like this: the Joker, Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash, Gorilla Grodd, Darkseid. Haha. Who's that for you guys? Thanos. Darkseid. Okay, you know what? Galactus is cool and all, but like, come on.
He's
Doomsday. Who else? Who else do they have for DC as villains? Sinestro. Like all these characters, like
They have better villains. I'm not gonna lie. DC have better villains.
they we do, and it's like we have. I feel like there's more thought behind the villains, a little bit. Just like how they like really connect with our heroes. Like how think about like the relationship between Joker and Batman is just like something that's like so amazing. That no one just drew out there like, oh yeah, you guys are villains now. Like, no, like it was created. It was something that was like, all right, this is like how you guys like kind of feed off each other. Like, this is so amazing. Sinestro and the Green Lantern, like all this is so amazing. Eobard Thawne's the Reverse Flash. It's like basically the reason why the Flash is the Flash. Like the connections between the heroes and the villains is something that's like important. Like they actually spend time to actually build the villains up and build the stories other than just throwing like, oh yo, look, here's this bad guy. He's just doing something bad. He's your nemesis from now on. Like DC just does it better.
Okay, Nathaniel?
That was perfect.
Oh, deep. I cried a little bit.
But after that, I would have to say, you have to think of the smaller villains that Marvel has and that DC has. While Marvel has Wheelman for Spider-Man. If you want to Google him right now, you can. He's a man who stands inside of a wheel and jaywalks. Yes, Spider-Man took care of that for 2 issues.
What?
Yeah.
Nice story arc.
Yes. Amazing.
Stop this evil jaywalker.
How dare he sit in his wheel? But also, you have to think of the horrible DC villains. I can't think of one for some odd reason. But
There are some
Wheelman.
horrible DC villains, bro. Like,
I mean, there are, but you really gotta think.
oh, but when we get the heroes, I'm gonna name some bad one from Marvel.
Heroes. Man, it's down my floor. Let me-
Wow.
Just
We'll
let's
get there.
just finish it off.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, okay. Well, my favorite villain is the Joker. I think that's all I have to say about that.
Chop another
It's
one
pretty cool.
up for DC.
Patricia?
I pass because I don't want to give it to DC.
You could have said Green Goblin for Spider-Man.
But is there a top villain for you, or just
The Joker.
the Joker? All right, look at that.
Can't beat the Joker.
Like, come on, bro. Like,
He wasn't as good.
All right, so 3-2, DC's in the lead. Now we come down to the final category.
we all know
about
how Golden State folded.
for heroes. So I'm kind of leaving out teams because
Oh.
that's going to be a little dicey because you can like the Avengers versus the Justice League, or let's just stick with just single heroes. Why are you touching Superman like that?
Marvel can't do that. Can't touch on Superman.
So here's the thing. It's this. It's the Holy Trinity. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman.
bro. Like,
They've been around for 75 plus years. These are iconic heroes. I'm not knocking Marvel because Marvel has also got some great heroes, thanks to Stan Lee, who is a lot of those creators of all these great comics. And that's a single guy. These are individual people that created these comics. But my God, Stan Lee, the power that of one man and all these amazing artists, that's kind of hard to put it up there. But I'm going to give it to DC just because it's out there. You cannot mess with the Holy Trinity like that.
You're right.
So, all right.
Thinking about what you said.
Oh, see, drop the pen. The pen drop, Chris. What can you do for that?
Though they're not the real Trinity.
Oh, really? Oh, I get it. I get where you're going. But
I do like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman.
you gotta.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's like it does stands out more. But as far as recently, they hold more weight individually. But as far as recently, and like when you think about teams, though we're not gonna talk too much about it, it's definitely the Avengers. It's like I don't get excited. I would if we're talking about cartoons, and I would if the movies were just as good. I would get excited for Justice League because I used to watch the cartoons.
You gotta
It's
watch
so
those
dope.
animated movies because those.
Yeah. But like, man, I don't know. Like, Iron Man is real cool.
An alcoholic.
Spider-Man.
An alcoholic who literally drank out his heart.
But I'm not gonna lie. I'll give it to DC.
DC appreciates that.
So like, I know we're gonna state the big three right there. You know, look at them. That is literally the big three. I mean, Wonder Woman has to be Bosch, and that's okay. But like, yeah, Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman. Like, how can you? Yeah, bro. And then like, we want to add in the other ones. We're talking about the Flash. We're talking about Martian Manhunter. We're talking about all the Robins. Batman, you need to do something because, bro,
Too many Robins.
too many Robins. Nightwing. We got the Green Lanterns. They're more lanterns than Robins, or vice versa. I don't know. Who else do they have out there, bro? Like, they just have so much. They just have so much, and it's so crazy. And it's like they're so memorable. They're all memorable. I gotta pick one. Are you sure? Like, for real?
Whaleman. What?
What? If I had to pick one, then like, I think I'm definitely going with the Flash. Because like, my boy ran to the end of the times just to escape death. Who does that? He did. But yeah, it's so amazing. Like, they're all so memorable. Like, in comparison, like to Marvel. Like, because Marvel, it's like they just create heroes just as fodder. It just doesn't. Wait, hold up. I got a question. Is Squirrel Girl a hero?
Not only a hero, but a TV series coming soon.
Why is there a Squirrel Girl? Why? See, Marvel, this is why you cannot win.
In fairness, sometimes you need to have little light humor characters like that. So, and
But
I've read some of the comics, which actually we have.
But
so-
can she be light humor and good? Like good. Like, can I like her? I don't like her. Why? Squirrels?
Yeah, and,
Like I understand spiders, okay? Like, spiders are amazing, but squirrels, like, you can do chuck nuts at me, like, that doesn't
that well,
that doesn't throw fear. Look,
Spoilers.
that doesn't throw fear into my heart. If I see like a spider just swinging around, I'm going to like hide in terror.
unless you have a nut allergy, then you want to run away from squirrels.
Exactly.
So, all right, Daniel.
So, Marvel versus DC, my favorite superhero. I do enjoy certain Marvel superheroes.
We all have our favorites.
However, the problem with them is that they kind of all act the same. They're all huge on quipping after every single sentence for some reason. They're all huge on trying to make a name for themselves, even though they're all on the same team. And for some, I don't know why, but they made it like every single character has beaten the Avengers by themselves. I don't know why.
Exactly. It's like you look.
The
for
Avengers
Marvel, it's like
can't even
you
help themselves.
You
at this
either been
point.
inside the Avengers or the Fantastic Four,
Yeah.
or like, it makes no sense. No, the other thing like I don't like about Marvel, like in their superheroes, is like everyone just has it out for each other. It's like they just walk across each other. Yo, man, I don't like you. Why? Like, they're like gangs, man. Like you really think about it, yo, who you repping? X-Men.
Normal people. Mostly everybody. Come on, you don't get along with everybody.
But this is
and
about,
they showed it in Avengers.
Well, this
you
is
can
about
be
unity.
a superhero, but your personality gonna come out, and that's what happened with the Avengers.
How about
each and every one of their personality came out? Oh, 'cause everybody's not gonna be lovey-dovey, kumbaya. No, it's not gonna happen. But with the Avengers, they show the different personality that certain people can, that certain people can, identified with.
I understand that, but it's like, come on, you want to give me a team and have y'all came and work together, like it's all like I feel like the feeling of unity, even within the Justice League, they have their own problems, but they just feel more like as a team. They just give that message across, like, yo, like if you're talking about in like today's society, right? I'm looking towards more like the Justice League. This is how like society should be. Everyone that like works together because they just want to do like something great. Unless you're Batman, you're just like, yo, don't jump in Gotham City. Like he literally banned the Green Lantern from Gotham City. Like.
And Superman.
And Superman, but Superman makes
everybody
his own rules.
hates Superman,
Superman
in
makes
the
his own
Justice
rules.
League?
Mm-hmm.
They're all afraid of him.
Look at that chin. That chin makes its own
It's
rules.
all about the hair right here.
It's all about the curl.
The middle here.
It's the curl and the chin, like.
All right, so let's move on.
Oh, okay. Are we talking about like what our favorite like superhero is? 'Cause I thought we already talked about
if you
that.
have to choose
Oh, between
your favorite hero, Marvel or DC, who is the better of the two? So.
Oh, I thought we already talked about favorite superheroes.
No, we're talking about villains.
Oh.
The last one was villains. Now it's heroes.
Yeah, but what about the beginning? Because I said mine was Spider-Man.
No, we talked about.
That was just the introduction.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So if you want to pick Spider-Man as your favorite over DC, that's fine, even though that may be wrong. But just saying.
I don't know. I feel like if we're talking DC, I've always loved Superman. But if we're talking Marvel, I've always loved Spider-Man.
And if you had to choose?
I enjoyed the Superman movies more. Wait, Tobey Maguire movies are really good. Okay, I'm going to choose Superman.
Superman. All right.
Giving that one to DC. So.
Go ahead, Patricia. Put the nail in the coffin for us.
Well, I have 3 favorite.
Okay.
Wonder Woman. Mm-hmm. Of course, Spider-Man. Represent New York.
Mm-hmm.
Hey.
But Captain America, number 1.
Really, he's not even a superhero, though.
What do you mean he's not?
All of his powers came out of a bottle in a lab.
Oh, don't start quoting Iron Man.
Exactly, thank you. But it's the greatest quote ever.
But honestly, this can go on forever because we can nitpick and go into the nth degree. But it's
Y'all
clear.
got Doctor Strange, we got Doctor Fate.
Yeah. Dr. Fate is actually kind of cool.
Yes, he's amazing. Like,
especially the helmet. All right, so basically that's it. We've decided DC is the better franchise overall.
That's facts.
So
last remarks. Come on, DC. Just give us some more good movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Got this.
That's what we have.
Preach.
The Justice League movie is going to be amazing.
Let's see.
Although I'm looking forward to Thor Ragnarok as well. So I'm not going to complain and say, no, I'm not going to watch Marvel movies. That's
the third Thor movie, right?
Yeah. And
all right,
the second one sucked.
Here's the thing. Like, I feel like when it comes to their trilogies, DC, like not DC, Marvel kind of drops the ball for me. Like, I didn't really like Iron Man 3. Like, it kind of just fell off for me. It's like...
Second one was awful. Third was okay.
Third one's like... I don't know, like, they just don't, like, carry the same energy as the first one, like, just carried, and, like, they don't carry, like, the same momentum through all of them. The second Thor was amazing, though, like, so I hope they keep, like, the little momentum that they had from there, but I don't know who to trust.
But in any case, we are all going to be winners because they're going to put out more product, more comic books, more movies, more
Disney.
TV shows. So it's our benefit to
And at
love
the
it
end
all
of the day,
anyway.
they still win because they taking my money.
Exactly.
You guys, just look out for my comics coming soon.
You got a
I
comic,
don't
bro?
even know the name yet, but
That's
I smell the comic books.
All right, so that ends our podcast for today. So, folks, thank you very much for helping out. Episode 14 will be in about 2 weeks. So, thanks to everyone who attended and listened.
DC over everything.
DC over everything.
Next week will
DC
be
forever.
Thundercats.